think your job is safe from a lie. You might be right, but you're probably asking the wrong question. Your job isn't disappearing. It's being quietly and fundamentally redefined. There's no dramatic announcement, no sudden collapse of entire departments. Instead, something much more strategic is happening right under our noses. Tasks that used to take hours are shrinking, output expectations are rising, and the time you have to do it all is compressing. The professionals who are noticing this early are already adjusting their position inside the system. See, this new wave of automation isn't loud and disruptive like in the movies. It's incremental. A weekly report that once took you 4 hours now takes 40 minutes with the right tools. A research brief that tied up a junior analyst for half a day is now generated, summarized, and refined in under 20 minutes. No one is getting replaced overnight, but the baseline for what's considered good work is shifting upward permanently. This is the critical distinction most people miss. The immediate risk isn't sudden unemployment, it's gradual compression. Inside companies, leaders aren't asking, how do we eliminate this role entirely? They're asking, how much more can this role produce with intelligent systems? That single question completely changes the economics of work. When output capacity rises without a proportional increase in headcount, the revenue per employee goes up. And when that happens, expectations shift forever. You're no longer measured against how hard you used to work. You're measured against your potential to leverage technology right now. This is where a quiet divergence begins. Imagine two professionals with the same title, some industries similar experience. One integrates AI into every repeatable cognitive workflow. The other keeps doing things the old way, relying on manual processes and sheer personal endurance. At first, the difference is small: a faster turnaround on a project here, a cleaner summary there. But over time, the power of compounding takes effect. The leveraged professional delivers more strategic insight, more refined analyses, and more structured thinking in less time. Leadership starts to rely on them differently. Their compensation starts to pull away. The opportunities they get start to diverge. This isn't because one person is smarter. It's because one person redesigned their workflow. Most professionals misread the situation because they're focused on job titles. They ask, is my job title safe? That's the wrong framework. Job titles change slowly. Workflows change at lightning speed. The real question you should be asking is my workflow leverage dense? Leverage density is a measure of how much intelligent automation amplifies your cognitive output. If your day-to-day involves repetitive information gathering, formatting, drafting, or synthesis, and you haven't systematized those functions, you are operating below your current output capacity. And that gap, that inefficiency, becomes more and more visible over time. Think about how organizations were traditionally built. You had layers of people to manage complexity. Analysts gathered data, associates cleaned it, managers interpreted it, directors put it in context, and executives made the final call. Each layer added a cost. Each layer justified its existence by processing information. But AI slashes that coordination cost. Data aggregation is now instant. Summaries are structured automatically. Analysis can run across thousands of variables in seconds. This doesn't eliminate the need for leadership. It compresses the middle processing layers. That cognitive middle layer, the people who translate raw information into strategic decisions, is becoming thinner. Not irrelevant, but thinner. And that's exactly where many mid-career professionals built their value. This is where the compression is most visible. The person who used to stand out by producing the first draft of an insight must now stand out by designing the system that produces insights continuously. This is the identity shift from being an operator to being an architect. Operators execute tasks within existing systems. Architects design the systems themselves. Operators trade their time for output. Architects multiply output through structure. And in this new leverage-dense economy, it's the architects who gain the structural advantage. The big misunderstanding about AI is that it just replaces jobs. In reality, it redefines the threshold for what it means to contribute. If AI can reduce the time required for a task by 70%, leadership doesn't usually eliminate the role. They increase expectations. Instead of 1 report per week, you're now expected to produce 3. Instead of just summarizing information, you're expected to interpret its deep implications. Instead of drafting proposals, You're expected to design the very frameworks for them. This might feel like a lot of pressure, but structurally, it's an escalation of leverage. The professionals who feel overwhelmed are often the ones still operating at manual capacity, while the system around them is recalibrating for automated support. The professionals who feel amplified are the ones who have already integrated these systems into their daily flow. That difference compounds. Let's do the math. If you increase your effective output by just 20% through automation, the difference is marginal. But if you increase your output by 2x, it becomes strategic. If you increase it by 5x in certain workflows, the difference becomes career-defining. And that is absolutely achievable when you stop executing repetitive cognitive tasks manually and start redesigning them. The Industrial Revolution's automation targeted physical repetition. The AI era's automation targets cognitive repetition. Things like drafting emails, reconciling data, scanning markets, analyzing competitors, sequencing client follow-ups, internal reporting, financial modeling. These tasks once justified entire teams because they required so much time and attention. Now, they require oversight and refinement. The professional who designs the oversight layer becomes indispensable. The professional who is still competing down in the execution layer faces compression. And this compression doesn't look like a dramatic firing. It's much quieter. It looks like a slower promotion. It looks like your salary stagnating. It looks like having less influence in important meetings. It looks like being left out of strategic conversations. Over time, this slow compression accumulates into a... That is the quiet automation that most professionals fail to anticipate. It's not the disappearance of your role. It's the slow reduction of its strategic weight. On a macro level, this shift is already producing measurable outcomes. Companies that integrate automation effectively are seeing their revenue per employee rise. Their profit margins expand. Their headcount growth slows down relative to their output growth. Capital flows toward these hyper-efficient firms. Boards reward leadership teams that achieve more with disciplined staffing. This behavior just reinforces the cycle. More efficiency, more automation, more leverage. More output per employee. This creates a divergence, not just between companies, but between individuals within those companies. High-leverage professionals capture a disproportionate amount of the upside. Low-leverage professionals find themselves competing in ever-narrowing bands. The middle gets compressed. The top expands. The bottom gets automated away. The solution here isn't to panic, it's to redesign. Take a hard look at your workflow, audit it. Where are you spending time processing information that could be structured? Where are you repeating communications that could be templated and automated? Where are you analyzing data manually that could be modeled? Every single one of these friction points is an opportunity to build leverage. Start small. Redesign one recurring task. Automate one repetitive report. Enhanced one decision process with AI-supported analysis. Measure the output improvement, then do it again. When you compound these small, weekly, structural upgrades, you produce an exponential long-term advantage. Over 12 months, your entire contribution profile changes. Over 3 years, your positioning within the company changes. Over 5 years, your entire income trajectory can change. Executives are recalibrating their expectations silently. They are watching to see which team members produce amplified results. They are reallocating responsibility toward those who design efficient systems. They're increasing their trust in those who multiply output. In many cases, they are not explicitly announcing this shift, but they are acting on it. The AI era rewards visible leverage, not just visible effort. Effort that doesn't produce scalable output remains invisible. This is why working long hours no longer guarantees you a spot on the fast track. System design does. The future of your professional security doesn't lie in mastering one specific tool. It lies in mastering the art of leverage architecture. How do you structure the flow of information? How do you reduce cognitive friction for yourself and your team? How do you increase the quality of decisions without increasing the time cost? These are the questions that will define your long-term resilience. Your job isn't being eliminated. It's being measured differently. It's being measured against leverage density, against output scalability, and against your contribution to the system. Those who adapt early will experience amplification. Those who resist will experience compression. Architects win, operators compete. The question is not whether automation will continue. It will. The real question is, are you redesigning your role faster than the system is redesigning it for you? Position yourself as the architect. Because in a leverage-driven economy, it's the quiet shifts that create the largest outcomes, and those outcomes will always favor the strategically prepared. If this perspective sharpened your thinking, make sure you subscribe. This channel exists to help you position for income, power, and structural advantage in the age of intelligent systems. Intiscically awareness is not enough. Architecture is what determines your advantage. Thanks for watching.